You are being lied to. Every time a corporation tells you to save the planet, they are hiding a dirty secret that simultaneously costs lives, pollutes our air, and lines their pockets with billions. Tonight, I am exposing the biggest environmental scam you've never heard of. Look, I get it. You recycle, you reuse, you often try to do the right thing, and then you open your phone. You see a corporation telling you to save the planet, and you think, okay, maybe this time it is real. Now, here is the part that should make you angry. A lot of the loudest green preaching comes from a world that is still built on smoke, coal, and churn. And it is not because caring about the environment is generally a bad thing. It is because green language is profitable. It is marketing armor and reputation insurance. Hit that subscribe button if you want more unfiltered truth. At the end, I will give you 5 simple questions that will expose any lies that are coming from companies in under 30 seconds. Actually, I am going to do 3 things. First, I will show you how the green story is built. Second, I will take you to the real factory floor of the modern world. Third, I will give you a 30-second green test. Quick ground rule. This video talks about systems and publicly documented trends. It does not accuse any individual company of a specific crime. It is about hypocrisy, incentives, and reality. Now, let me ask you a question. When you hear a corporation say climate friendly, what do you imagine? A cleaner future, a better way to make things, less smoke, less waste. Here is what you should imagine instead: a boundary, a spreadsheet, and a well-funded marketing team. Chapter 1. The Green Talk Trick. There are 3 games: boundary games, word games, offset games, and they all work the same way. They move your attention away from the dirty core, and they keep you emotionally busy while the machine keeps running. Boundary games first. This is where the company makes the footprint look smaller by choosing a smaller box to measure. They show you a clean office. They show you a solar panel on the roof. They show you an electric car in the car park. Sure, nice. But what about the supplier, shipping and metals? What about the factories? What about the product use? What about disposal? If most emissions sit outside the pretty head office, the claim is theater. Now, word games. This is where language does the heavy lifting. Words like green, sustainable, responsible. They sound scientific. They are not scientific. They are containers. They mean whatever the company hopes you will assume. Then, offset games. This is the magic trick version. A company keeps emitting and then says it is balanced by credits somewhere else. Sometimes credits fund real projects. Sometimes they are a shortcut that lets the core business stay dirty while the brand stays clean. If you remember one line, remember this. Offsets are what you talk about after you cut emissions, not instead of cutting emissions. Now stay with me, because this is where it slams into normal life. The modern world runs on stuff, cheap stuff, fast stuff, disposable stuff, and the number 1 place where most of that stuff gets made has a name: China. Wait until you see what they're hiding in game number 2. Chapter 2. The Factory of the World and the Cost You Do Not See. According to United Nations Industrial Development Organization data, China held about 32% of global manufacturing value added in 2024. That is the factory floor of the planet. That is the place where the shiny products are born. And if you want a reality check, do something simple. Open the World Air Quality Index map. Say the address out loud as waki.info. Zoom out. Look at the colors. Red is unhealthy. Purple is very unhealthy. Maroon is hazardous. Those categories are not vibes. They are health warnings. Now, I am not going to sit here and pretend one country is the only place with dirty air. That would be childish. The map changes day to day. Pollution, weather, and industry move all the time. But China has had years where air pollution was not a minor inconvenience. It was a daily stress and a public health burden. The World Health Organization says air pollution in China remains at an alarming rate, and it estimates about 2 million deaths per year in China are linked to air pollution, including more than 1 million deaths from ambient outdoor air pollution. It also lists lung cancer among the diseases linked to air pollution exposure. And the International Agency for Research on Cancer has classified outdoor air pollution and particulate matter as carcinogenic to humans, and says it causes lung cancer. So, when someone tells you this is just about polar bears and feelings, remember this is about lungs, this is about grandparents and real bodies in real cities breathing that filthy air. Now let me add a layer that never makes it into the commercials. Mining. Mining is where a lot of the modern green fantasy begins. Fantasies about batteries, electric motors, and the holy solar panels. All of it starts with materials. Mining and coal production can worsen air quality and create serious health risks, including through dust and heavy metal contamination around mining areas. So here is the irony. Some of the loudest green messaging is attached to supply chains that still depend on dirty energy and resource extraction. It is not always personal hypocrisy. It is structural hypocrisy. The system rewards the slogan and delays the hard change. They play the out of sight, out of mind mental gymnastics. As long as the sky is blue in the west and grey in the east, who cares, right? It is not like we share the same planet and atmosphere. But here is where it gets really dirty. Chapter 3. Here is the coal problem they do not want you to say out loud. China has pledged to peak carbon dioxide emissions before 2030 and reach carbon neutrality before 2060. Those are big promises. But multiple analyses report that coal power projects and proposals surged in 2025, with coal capacity additions reaching the highest level in a decade, even as renewable energy expanded quickly. That is the tension. Green targets on paper, coal plants in the pipeline. Now again, nuance matters. There are also reports that coal plant permitting in 2025 could be lower than earlier peak years since 2021. And China has massively expanded wind and solar capacity, but at the expense of massive rural displacement and deforestation. So yes, there is progress, but also yes, coal remains deeply present. If you want to understand why, do not get distracted by slogans. Ask what leaders are optimizing for: energy security, industrial output, employment, price stability. Those priorities are real, so the contradiction is real too. Now let us bring it back to the corporations that lecture you. Because here is what they do. If the story gets uncomfortable, they move the story, and sometimes they move the factory. Chapter 4. We are leaving China, except we are not. For years, you have heard the same line. We are diversifying supply chains. We are moving production. We are reducing dependency. And yes, some production has shifted. Vietnam and Indonesia and other destinations have been discussed as growing manufacturing hubs as companies diversify. But the pattern is often not a clean break. It is China +1. Keep capacity in China. Add a second location elsewhere. Spread risk. Keep the system. So even when a corporation says it is leaving, it may simply be pushing production to another developing country with a different regulatory environment and a different labor market. And the emissions do not vanish, they rearrange. The smoke does not care which flag is outside the factory gate. Now we land on the part that hits your wallet directly. The Gadget Treadmill. Chapter 5. The yearly upgrade scam and the waste it creates. Every year, a new phone, a new model name, a new camera bump, a new reason you are supposed to feel outdated. Sometimes the upgrades are real. Often they are incremental, and the business model relies on short replacement cycles. The United Nations reporting around the global e-waste monitor warns that electronic waste is rising fast, and it points to drivers like higher consumption, limited repair options, and shorter product life cycles. Think about that: limited repair, short life, more buying, more waste. And yes, there is a name people use for this: planned obsolescence. design choices and commercial practices that shorten the useful life of products, so sales stay high. The European Union has been moving to tackle parts of this. It adopted rules promoting repair, and it has also adopted consumer protection updates that explicitly mention planned early obsolescence practices as an issue to address. Translation: governments are starting to say what you already know. A lot of products are not built to last, and that is not an accident. Besides limiting your ability to repair, the upgrade cycles a technology company offers today is severely nerfed compared to what it used to be 15 or 20 years ago. A new generation of gadgets actually meant something. Phones went from brick-like devices to pocket computers. Cameras jumped from blurry sensors to something that could replace a compact camera. Battery life doubled. Entire capabilities appeared overnight. Today, the differences are often microscopic. A slightly faster chip, a marginally brighter screen, a camera tweak you will only notice in a side-by-side test. Yet the marketing pressure is relentless. Every year the same message returns. This one is essential. This one changes everything. This one makes last year's device feel obsolete. The improvements shrink, but the push to replace perfectly working hardware stays constant, because the business model depends on turnover. And behind every shiny gadget or electric vehicle is a mountain of raw materials most people never see. The global economy now extracts well over 100 billion tons of raw materials every year, according to international resource studies. That includes metals for electronics, lithium and cobalt for batteries, copper for wiring, rare earth elements for motors and screens, and massive amounts of sand, coal, and iron used in manufacturing and energy. Mining these materials is not clean. It can mean deforestation, toxic runoff into rivers, heavy metal contamination, and entire landscapes reshaped into open pits. In some regions, it also means human exploitation, dangerous labor conditions, poorly regulated mines, and, in the case of cobalt production in parts of Central Africa, documented use of child labor in small-scale mining operations. So when you hear a product described as clean or green, remember the invisible chain behind it. The environmental cost does not disappear. It often just moves upstream, far away from the showroom floor. Now connect the dots. A corporation lectures you about the environment. Then it sells you a yearly upgrade cycle. Then it makes repair difficult. Then it tells you to feel guilty. That is not environmentalism. That is branding. And sometimes the green push creates problems nobody talks about. A few years ago, several car manufacturers, including Toyota, tried to make their vehicles more environmentally friendly by switching some wiring insulation from petroleum-based plastics to materials partly derived from soy byproducts. On paper, it sounded perfect. Less oil, more renewable materials. A nice green headline for the annual report, but in the real world, something strange started happening. Rodents began chewing through the wiring harnesses at unusual rates, leaving owners with dead cars and repair bills that could run into the thousands. Whether the soy actually attracted the animals or simply made the insulation easier to chew is still debated. But the lesson was obvious. When companies rush to slap a green label on materials to cut costs and satisfy the sustainability narrative, the real-world consequences can be messy, expensive, and completely unexpected. So, what do you do with all of this? Here is the part I promised, the test. And now, finally, Chapter 6, the 5-question test. Question 1. What exactly is the claim, in plain language, without the word green? Question 2. What boundary is being measured? Is it just their offices, or the full supply chain? Question 3. What is the baseline and the time frame compared to what year? Over what years? Question 4. Where is the evidence? Independent, clear, current, not a pretty infographic. Question 5. Does the business model match the claim? Are they making money from selling more of the thing that causes the problem? Or are they actually changing what they sell and how it is made? If a company passes all 5, good. If it fails even one, treat it as marketing until proven otherwise. Now the closing truth. You are not crazy for feeling manipulated, because you are being targeted by a system that rewards the message more than the outcome. Here is your homework. Pick one product you bought recently. Look up whether it can be repaired. Look up how long the manufacturer supports updates. Look up what the environmental claim actually covers. Then decide if you are being informed or if you are being managed. And if this video opened your eyes, share it with someone who needs to see this truth. The algorithm won't do it for us. One more thing. If you actually care about fighting this kind of fake environmentalism, there is something practical you can do. Check out Consumer Rights Wiki, a project by the consumer rights advocate and YouTuber Louis Rossmann. It is a community-run site that tracks companies, policies, and products that undermine consumer rights and repairability. There is also a browser extension that warns you about companies with anti-consumer practices while you browse. Both are linked in the description. Take a minute to install the extension and look through the wiki. You can even become a contributor if you wish to help the project. It's one small way to stay informed and push back. That is it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.